Today I am exploring Genesis 19. I am Mountainsmith, and I have read Genesis 19 once before. I've never read the entire Bible, so if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I've never read past actually the book of Genesis, but I wanted to kind of reread a number of chapters before I move on to the next one. So today, though, I am reading Genesis 19, Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. This one I remember is not made for children, that's for sure, because I remember, if the word was right, there's a lot of wickedness, and it goes to a lot of questions of what people are really like and what they're doing and what God was doing and a whole number of other things. Previously in Genesis 18, Abraham was haggling with the Lord about finding, he got it down to 10 righteous people. If the angels or the Lord find 10 righteous people in Sodom, he will save them. I'm kind of assuming then that Abraham knew that Lot and his family were there. It's kind of my own thought. So I haven't read Genesis 19 again, so let's get into it and find out. As always, I will probably stop a lot and we'll find out. All right, Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. That evening, the two angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom. Lot was sitting there, and when he saw them, he stood up to meet them. Lot is just hanging out. But I don't think we've actually mentioned Lot or heard about Lot since he left. Him and Abraham, they split because their herds were getting too big. So maybe I don't think we've read about Lot since here. Okay, so Lot. Then he welcomed them and bowed his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "come to my home to wash your feet and be my guest for the night. You may then get up early in the morning and be on your way again." It's very courteous there. "Oh no," they replied. "We'll just spend the night out here in the city square." I can just imagine they're really there to watch what goes on instead. But Lot insisted. So at last they went home with Lot. Lot prepared a feast for them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast, and they ate. Made without yeast. Why without yeast? Why is bread made without yeast? Kind of specific. I wonder, maybe somebody can tell me, because I don't know. And they ate. But before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. I remember this part. Okay, let's say that again. But before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." I mean, I probably shouldn't be laughing, but think about this for a moment. This is why it's actually kind of making me laugh. You are there in this place. You know already what's going on in this city, Sodom, to a certain extent. These angels show up, you help them, you have a feast, and suddenly all the men, young and old, they show up and they're like, you bring them out and we want to have sex with them. Actually, not just we want to have sex with them. What does it say? So we can have sex with them. Very specific. Essentially, they're planning on, what's the other word for, they're going to force themselves on these two angels. Both the men, young and old, have this plan, which is, it's just insane to think. Okay. So Lot stepped outside to talk with them, shutting the door behind him. "Please, my brothers," he begged, "don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have two young virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them as you wish. But please, leave these men alone, for they are my guests and are under my protection." Let's think about all this for a moment. Let's think about all this for a quick moment. Really put yourself in that position where we're at now, I guess, in modern life. I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, as a father, I've got two young daughters who are virgins. I've just let in these two angels, lords, because I want to care for them, and I know basically who they are, and it's at least that's my interpretation of this. Lot knows who they are. I want to feed them and let them go on their way. And then all these men, young and old of the city, show up, say that they need to come out and force themselves to have sex. And now I am offering up my 2 virgin daughters to these men who want to force themselves. I really want to say the R word. I just don't want to, I don't know if that's allowed on these social platforms. So we're just being really careful. So we're just saying they're forcing themselves. So now I'm offering my 2 virgin daughters to these men who want to do whatever they want. That I cannot imagine, like where you have to be as a father to even get to that point of offering. I mean, what kind of tension is happening in front of this house where these men are coming in and you don't want to send these 2 angels out, but you're willing to give up your 2 daughters. It's just you really have to think about this and go, wow, to be where in that mindset. Okay, so stand back, they shouted. This fellow came to town as an outsider. Now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than those other men. And they lunged toward Lot to break down the door. Oh, I forgot about that part. Stand back, they shouted. This fellow came as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than those other men. So this just goes back into it. Think about that. We've got all this tension. You just offered up your 2 virgin daughters, and now these men, both young and old, are saying, hey, you better send them out or, we're going to do worse to you. What are you supposed to do? As Lot, what are you possibly thinking at this point? These men are basically going to do worse to you if you don't send them out. They also don't want your virgin daughters, which you have to be in a crazy mindset to offer anyhow. And the daughters are probably like, thank goodness he's not sending us out, or thank goodness they don't want us. I mean, it's a very insane thought process. I cannot imagine. That's why it's kind of funny to think about, because it's so obscene, the situation. Okay. And then they lunged toward Lot to break down the door. But the 2 angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. Then they blinded all the men, young and old, who were at the door of the house, so they gave up trying to get inside. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any other relatives here in the city? They asked. Get them out of this place. Your sons-in-law, daughters, sons, or anyone else. For we are about to destroy this city completely. The outcry against this place is so great, it has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it. Why, though? But the 2 angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. They then blinded all the men, young and old, who were at the door of the house. So they gave up trying to get inside. Why did the angels blind them? If they can essentially destroy people very quickly, or at least blind everybody instantly, why not, I don't know, do something else? I really wonder why just blind them. Maybe they were thinking that there was other people to potentially save, or something. I don't know. It seems like a really simple thing to do when they could have just decimated them, I'm assuming. I don't really know. Anyways. Okay. Now, meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot, do you have any other relatives here in the city? So the angels are telling Lot, look, if you got other relatives, get them out, because we're about to just wipe this place out. So Lot rushed out to tell his daughters' fiancés, quick, get out of the city. The Lord is about to destroy it. But the young men thought he was only joking. So maybe that goes to, they thought he was only joking. Yeah, right, dude. Okay, whatever. It's like nighttime. You're probably super tense. Lot is like super crazy right now. And he's like, you need to get out. Maybe that was the reason why the angels just blinded the men, just in case there were other people, just like his daughter's fiancés. To tell his daughter's fiancés. At dawn the next morning, the angels became insistent. Hurry, they said to Lot. Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out right now, or you will be swept away in the destruction of the city. So they are telling Lot, take your wife and your 2 daughters. Sounds like those are the only 4 that are actually going to be leaving. When Lot still hesitated, the angel seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful. When they were safely out of the city, one of the angels ordered, "Run for your lives and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains or you will be swept away." So perhaps they were saved because Abraham did say he wanted a few righteous people to live, but that was a different thing, because Abraham, I'm just kind of walking myself through this, and maybe anyone who's listening, Abraham said if you find 10 righteous people, you will save them, save the city. So they're not finding that, but they are willing to save Lot, his wife, and the 2 daughters. Maybe that's because Abraham is righteous and the Lord has conversations with him, so he wants to care for anyone who Abraham cares about. Just kind of a thought. I'm not really sure why they would save him, but "Oh no, my lord," Lot begged. "You have been so gracious to me and saved my life, and you have shown such great kindness, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved." "All right," the angel said. Well, that's what I was just thinking. All right. "All right," the angel said. "I will grant your request. I will not destroy the little village, but hurry. Escape to it, for I can do nothing until you arrive there." This explains why that little village was known as Zor, which means little place. Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages of the plain, wiping out all the people and every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. I forgot about that. Lot's wife looked back as she was following behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Why did she turn into a pillar of salt, though? And what's the significance of salt? Okay, so she looks back. I mean, stuff's going on. You want to look, right? So she looks back and she turns into a pillar of salt. Why was that? Because I understand that the angel says, back up here, "Run for your lives and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains or you will be swept away." I guess that's why she turned into a pillar of salt, because they did say, "Don't look back." So she looks back. Wow. Here's a thought also. What's the significance of her turning into a pillar of salt? And is that area now, wherever she would generally have turned into a pillar of salt, and we're speaking in modern times, like here presently on the earth, is that an area that has a lot of salt around it? Like, well, we have the Dead Sea up there, I think, in that area. I don't know. Kind of a thought. All right. Abraham got up early that morning and hurried out to the place where he had stood in the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain towards Sodom and Gomorrah and watched as columns of smoke rose from the cities like smoke from a furnace. But God had listened to Abraham's request and kept Lot safe, removing him from the disaster that engulfed the cities on the plain. Wow. I mean, honestly, really think about that for a moment. You're Abraham. You see where it is, Sodom and Gomorrah, and you just see pillars of smoke. You see everything happening. You're thinking about your nephew. You just talked with God. This is what's going on. Lot, his wife just turned into a pillar of salt, and hopefully his 2 daughters are okay. The destruction, what's happening here is just absolutely astonishing when we go back to it. Moving forward here. Lot and his daughters. Oh, I remember this part. This is kind of an odd one. There's definitely some questions here. Afterward, Lot left Zor because he was afraid of the people there, and he went to live in a cave in the mountains with his 2 daughters. One day, the older daughter said to her sister, There are no men left anywhere in this entire area, so we can't get married like everyone else. And our father will soon be too old to have children. Come, let's get him drunk with wine, and then we'll have sex with him. That way he will preserve our family line through our father. That way we will preserve our family line through our father. Why? They just left this little place called Zor, and they went to the mountains. Then their daughter says to her sister, there are no men left anywhere in this entire area, so we can't get married like everyone else. I'm wondering, did the daughters not realize that there's other places in the world? I feel like maybe there was something mistranslated to get to this point, that maybe we're maybe not even mistranslated, but maybe there's something missing to get to the point of why the daughters believed that there was no men anywhere else. And so they decided to have sex with their father. Not sure. So that night, they got him drunk with wine, and the older daughter went in and had intercourse with her father. He was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. You got to be pretty freaking drunk, man. They did get him drunk with wine, and that's what happened, but I don't know. The next morning, the older daughter said to her younger sister, I had sex with our father last night, so let's get him drunk with wine again tonight, and you go in and have sex with him. That way we will preserve our family line through our father. So that night they got him drunk with wine again, and the younger daughter went in and had intercourse with him. As before, he was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. As a result, both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their own father. When the older daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Moab. He became the ancestor of the nation now known as the Moabites. When the younger daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Ben-Amim. He became the ancestor of the nation now known as the Ammonites. Okay, Lot had to have known this, right? We think, or his daughters were virgins. He said his daughters were virgins. He was going to offer them up to this mob that was outside attacking them. 9 months later, both his virgin daughters are pregnant. So I wonder what he was really thinking then. He had to have been angry or something. He doesn't even have his wife anymore. They don't have their mother. They're in the mountains, and they just had both sons.